We are just past 7:01. And Joe, thank you very much for recording our session here today. And good to see you all. We're happy you're here to this webinar that talks about how to kick your meetings up a notch. So one thing we wanted to share and ask you to do is rename yourselves on your Zoom setting to an alter ego. And so what would you think is your alter ego? So if you were going to rename your name on this Zoom call, what would you rename yourself? So,
so everyone,
oh, I love Fiona, the music fan. So cool. Ralph, that reminds me.
Paul's busy typing away, keeping us in suspense.
Yeah. Indeed.
Welcome, Winifred.
Hello, welcome. Hello.
Thanks for joining, and glad you're here. Just to catch you up, we're asking everyone as part of the welcome to rename yourself as your alter ego.
My alter ego, okay. Here we go.
Iva, if you want to do it, it's the 3 dots in the top right corner of your picture.
Yes, I know.
No, I'm telling Iva.
I gotta think of something. Wait a minute.
I can't think of anything.
I know.
Oh, come on. I have one for you,
Who's your-
Iva.
Okay.
Oh.
Cougar.
Oh.
Ah, well, there's a story.
She did a humorous speech, and she was my competitor, and she came out as a cougar.
Not me.
Perfect.
You talk
Oh,
about somebody
look at
else.
Ducky.
Yeah, I'm talking to Iva.
Okay, sorry, yeah.
There you
The
go.
Music Man, yeah, right.
All right. So we
Yeah.
want to hear who your alter egos are. And so Sam Boduch and I, Roxanne Benzel, welcome all to this webinar for the District 45 Toastmasters as we think about and talk about how to kick your meetings up a notch. We're so happy to see you all this evening. Thank you. Thank you to Sam. Thank you to Joe for all of the work to get this webinar in place. And we appreciate everyone's efforts. We appreciate that everyone is here as well. And so, as we've said, we have identified and asked you to determine who your alter ego is, because we want to know. So as we move through introductions, I think that we will start with Sam. Sam, who are you, Sam, and who's your alter ego?
Thanks, Roxanne, aka Milagro. My alter ego is Frozone, which is from, I believe it's one of the Incredible movies back in the early 2000s. And this one just came to mind as we were logging in here. It wasn't something that was well thought out, even though I knew this was on the agenda. It is more of an impromptu name. Frozone was an animated character played by Samuel L. Jackson, or voiced over by Samuel L. Jackson, and famously would reintroduce himself throughout the movie, saying "Frozone," and his secret power would freeze people. And Sam Lee, for your benefit, we've asked everyone to rename themselves on Zoom to your alter ego. So please feel free to do that using the 3 dots by your picture. And I'm going to pass it to, let's see, how about Cougar? I want to hear the story.
Well, it's thank goodness that Julie thought of it, because I really hide in my identity. And so only a few people know that I really am a cougar. And I guess it's, I can't let the cat out of the bag though, even though I am a cat, because it was based on my humorous contest. I really enjoyed doing it, even though I had a lot of heart palpitations in the meantime. So I guess I'll stay with Cougar.
Very nice, Cougar. And
So I will say, I'm sorry, interject a little bit. I love it that you are Cougar. And I'm not sure that I heard your speech, although I've been an actress in a cemetery walk, and I was known as a cougar because I went after a younger husband. And so in the cemetery and in those who are residents of the cemetery, there was a woman who went after a much younger man. So I was known as the cougar.
And Cougar, who would you choose next?
I choose Ralph or Joe.
Thank you very much. I do not know any Ralphs personally. I do like the name. Part of the inspiration for tonight came from such animated characters as Wreck-It Ralph and Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons.
Oh,
That's why I picked it.
Please.
Great. Awesome, Ralph. And who would you choose next?
Johnny Calamari, witness protection. Shh.
Hey, how you doing, Ralph? It's good to see you here tonight. I want to tell you, Johnny showed up at Toastmasters back in 2007 in a Tall Tales contest in the Concord Toastmasters Club. And every once in a while, Johnny has a reason to come back to Concord Toastmasters. You never know when Johnny's going to show up because he's in the witness protection program. And you have to hear the whole tall tale to figure out why. But I'm going to tell you that last Friday, Johnny showed up at Concord Toastmasters again for the 2023 version of Tall Tales. And he went away a winner. Johnny, hey, you guys have a good night.
Forget about it, huh? All right, how about Fiona? Thank you, Johnny. How about Fiona?
I was given my name by a mentor coach of mine, and I actually forget the story of why she chose that name for me, but I got a kick out of it thereafter because I was watching Shrek one day, and the little female ogre in there is Fiona. So I was identifying with her, and my husband was the ass, the donkey.
Very nice. Thanks, Fiona.
the Music Man.
Go ahead, Milagro. You're about to say something?
I'll choose the Music Man. I'll Music Man for 300, please.
Albert, that's you.
I think he's frozen.
I think he's frozen.
There he is.
Oh,
Yeah, Frozone.
Can you hear me or see me or either?
We see you, but we kind of hear you.
Kind of. Yes.
You're breaking up and you freeze a lot.
I probably should have called myself Madonna. The 7-year-old computer system. I guess it's telling me to upgrade, which will be great when I get a job to pay for it. Music Man, I love music. I love popular music. I listen to the Casey Kasem countdown from the 70s and 80s wherever I can find it on the net. Back to my younger days. My first speech, speaker, this is what I did. I took the entire song Heartbreaker and I said, this is my icebreaker. And I forget the rest of it. Don't mess around with me. I got to use music so much in my speeches that my 5th speech, I was told maybe to challenge myself not to quote a song. I rose to the challenge, but I still come back to this paradigm or role, ego, the Music Man.
Awesome.
I was very happy too, Mr. Music Man, that you gave us a dance. Wonderful.
Great.
I'm kind of like your candy man, but the candy is in the song.
Awesome. Thank you, Music Man.
Awesome.
How about Ducky? Let's hear the story behind Ducky.
It's a short one. My last name is Kwak, so there are always people who don't know how to pronounce it or find it funny. So that reminds me of a duck. But unlike ducks, I'm not fond of water. I love the rain. I can walk hours in the rain, love it. But water, no. I'm in a swimming pool, I'm in and out, and I've done my best from one end to the other end, and that's about the size of it. Once you went swimming in the sea, oh my God. And then they let you say, you're in a sailboat and they let you just in the water and off they go. Oh my God, I screamed my heart out. And they had to come back because I think I'm going to drown if I'm not near anything that's a bit sturdy. So I'm really a ducky, but I'm not a ducky. Okay.
That's awesome. I love that, Ducky. And I have 2 farmer friends who run a 500-acre farm. And whenever I come to them when it's a rainy day, and I say, how are you doing, Jane? And she will say to me, I feel like a duck with all the rain swimming off my back.
Cool. Well, thank you, everyone.
Great.
For
What about
participating.
Milagro?
Oh,
Yeah, right.
Milagro.
Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you. So Milagro is a movie. It's a movie produced by Robert Redford in the mid-1980s. So it's a movie about the American Southwest, specifically in New Mexico, and it's called the Milagro Beanfield War. And it's about an area that was in the desert and with developers wanting to come in and overrun the whole place. And while it had that social commentary behind the story, the movie itself and the music especially was very special. So it has been something that is a process throughout the many decades since the movie was produced of self-renewal, as well as discovery and understanding and appreciating everything around us. So Milagro is Spanish, of course, for miracle. So I think that every day we have some miracles.
It's also a fine tequila as well.
Oh, it is indeed. How do you know that? I love that. I know that.
And I love Robert Redford, so now I'm going to go check out that movie.
Oh, you should indeed. You should indeed. I'm glad you are.
Awesome. Great introductions. Thank you, everyone, for sharing that. Now I'm thirsty for tequila. Roxanne, you want to tell us, you want talk to us about why do we want interesting meetings?
Yeah, so I don't know about all of you. I know that at my club meeting, Live, Speak, or Die, we are a corporate club and we have 35 members, and we are a very active group and have new members that join us and check us out every meeting. Yet at the same time, we are always looking for what can we do to make our meetings interesting. And so as Sam and I were thinking about the topic of how to make our meetings interesting, of course, the term that we've all heard on many occasions with our famous chef of BAM, how to kick it up a notch, is what came to mind as we think about things and ways and themes and things to do to make our meetings very, very interesting. As we have our experienced Toastmasters, we have our new Toastmasters, as we recruit, as well as we maintain and sustain our current members, we thought that this would be a fantastic topic to talk about, not only to share some things that Sam and I have learned in recent weeks and months, but also to hear what you all think of how we can kick our meetings up a notch. And so there's no shortage of ideas and things to do. And so we wanted to talk about that and network with everyone this evening to do that. And so we have some ideas, and simply to give credit to an absolutely an extraordinary article in one of our Toastmasters magazines, which was how to be creative with your meetings. There were several ideas on how to kick your meetings up a notch. And it's so awesome, as well as referencing that incredibly excellent article. One idea of how to kick our meetings up a notch is to have a backwards meeting. Now, this was a little bit of a challenge with the club that I'm a part of, which is Live, Speak, or Die. And we did a backwards agenda, completely backwards. And so I thought I could link on that. And, oh, okay, that's not coming up, so I need to go this way. So a backwards agenda was really fun as we landed on what does that mean? As you look at a completely backwards agenda, that means you start with your general evaluation, and then you start with your timer and role reports. So as everyone is giving their reports without seeing or hearing everyone yet in the meeting hasn't even started, that creates that light bulb on our roles and those who are serving the roles to be able to describe what they think the timer, the grammarian, the quiz master, the table topics, all of those roles were going to be. And in our case, the general evaluator shared that the speakers were very animated and were so animated and so descriptive that our actual speakers for the day increased or upbeat their speeches because they heard that evaluation. So it was incredibly fun in that way. So we worked our way through the agenda. As you can see, we had our speech evaluations first, then we had our speeches, and it was such a fun time because it was an anticipation as well as how do we fit with what we think we heard in our evaluations. And so it became a very much a challenge, and the table topics master for the day even wrote the table topics words backwards. And so the table topics were, what did you think about the Grand Canyon? And so it was canyon, grand, think, backwards. And so we all had to do double duty in our thoughts. And it was a really, really fun day. So that was one way how we kicked up that meeting a notch. Another way that we've identified
while Roxanne's
Very interesting.
working through technical challenges there, I can talk about one of the next things, the next way in which you can kick things up a notch is to have a joint meeting with another club. And this can kick things up in a few different ways. So ideally, you're going to find a club, and it's especially helpful in the Zoom world to be able to connect with people, clubs all over, ideally in your time zone, but maybe not. And find another club that has a meeting at the same time, and you can host them for one meeting, and they can reciprocate another time. And it's really interesting because it can entertain the guests who already know Toastmasters tradition. It adds extra energy and people, and kind of doubles your fun, really. And it can require some creative logistics and cooperations between the clubs, especially if you're actually meeting in person. But it can be a fun way to really mix things up. I know my home club, Portsmouth Toastmasters, joined up with Toastmasters of Manchester early on in the pandemic. And we thought we found it kind of fun because we had seen these people in different district events, and some of them we hadn't, and we were able to share probably a year's worth of meetings with them, and get to know their club members, know their traditions, use their agenda sometimes, use our agenda others, and find some different practices that are really fun. And Roxanne, I'll throw it back to you. I think you're back.
Thank you. Yeah, I am back. I don't know what's going on there, but thank you. Yeah, perfect example, Sam. And absolutely love the idea of sharing meetings with others. And that's one of the suggestions, is to have a meeting. I know that with the Live, Speak, or Die group, there is another Toastmasters in Austin, Texas at BAE Systems. And so we had a co-meeting with them, and they said to us that we do some things that they don't do, and then we learn some things that they do. And so it was a great example. And I know that I read about meetings with clubs across the country. So we could talk from New England to the East Coast to the West Coast, and we get different perspectives. We can talk to our Toastmasters in Canada and other countries, and have our agendas compared, and to think about what are the different things that we do, and then have some great fun with a joint meeting with another club. So that's another way to kick it up a notch. Another suggestion, if I may move on to one that was in the Toastmasters article, was to have a grab bag, was to have a meeting that as everyone comes into the meeting, they go into a bag and draw the role that they will serve in that meeting. And so as everyone arrives, then a slip of paper is drawn from a bag, and then it fills the agenda for the day, including speeches. So what a great way to be able to do an impromptu speech for 5 to 7 minutes, or fill a timer role or grammarian role to have that impromptu-ness of walking in and grabbing your roll out of a bag. So I thought that was extremely interesting. Some other elements that have been described include the theme of a meeting. And so this is something where you could have a special event. I know I've read about clubs back in February when the Oscars were on television, that several clubs had an Oscar themed meeting where the members would come as movie stars and the roles would focus around the ability to say who is nominated for a Grammy or an Oscar, and then be able to fulfill those roles in around the theme of an Oscar winning evening. So that sounds like a really good time for me, and I know I'm going to suggest it to Live, Speak, or Die. Another theme that we've done at Live, Speak, or Die, as well as with other clubs around our district, is the Great Debate. And maybe some of you have participated in that, but what a great way to have a topic and have our members talk about that topic, the pros, the cons, the debate around it, coming back with rebuttals. It gives an opportunity for everyone to hear and think about different ways of a topic that might be a current event, or even something from the past. It is a great way to kick up our meetings. Another item that I know I'm enamored with, actually, is the tall tales. The tall tales are terrific, and tall tales are such a fun way, because here it's something that you can leverage an event or a season. You can look at once in a blue moon. If a blue moon is occurring in your region or your part of the state, then you could leverage that to say, we're going to embellish around the blue moon. And what is a tall tale that we can give a speech around or table topics around to talk about the blue moon or actual bald face lies? And we can actually leverage that to use it for introductions, for speech themes, for table topics, and more. But you can play fast and loose with that theme of tall tales. And everyone has their creativeness that gets involved with, how do I make a tall tale around something? And again, it could.
Milagro. Serendipity.
Milagro, I'm not sure if we lost you there.
I don't
But
think we can.
you know what, another option that, yep, I think she's having audio issues.
So Frozone, do you know what she's talking about, the tall tale? Have you guys done that before?
I have not tried that one, but effectively, the way I understand it is you're really embellishing everything.
So are you using that as a table topics or like a theme for the meeting? I was just curious as to more how that works.
Yeah, it could be used throughout the meeting. So it could be used for speech introductions. It could be used for table topics. It could be used for the speech theme.
Cougar, what do you got?
Can really be applied. Cougar, go ahead. You have something to add.
I just wanted to tell you that before I moved here, one of my other clubs had a tall tale contest, and we chose whose story was the best.
Kind of
Very,
reminds
very
me of the
interesting.
game Boulder Dash. If anybody's ever played Boulder Dash, you could do that for one of the meetings. That'd be kind of fun, where everybody takes a word and you have to get people to try to pick your definition of whatever the word is. And so you make up some craziness, and then whoever votes on what yours is, you get points accordingly type thing, but you could do that as a table topics. That'd be a lot of fun.
Very nice. I like it, Fiona. Milagro, are you back?
I
in the
am.
newsroom?
I apologize. Yeah, I'm not sure why there's this constant disconnect. But yes, thank you.
It's okay. We can
Back
hear you now.
here. Yay. And one more thing to share that I wanted to bring to the surface of this absolutely fabulous article that I've been referencing in the Toastmasters magazine is to have a meeting focused around a television broadcast. And so this is where we can bring journalism to our clubs and where our sergeant at arms can give a countdown until you go live. And then also be the voiceover that introduces the newscast. Your Toastmaster can be the anchor of the newscast, as well as the general evaluator could be the sportscaster. The co-anchors could be the speakers of the event or of your meeting. And then the roles could be filled with other reporters around town who's reporting something that's going on. So a television broadcast sounds like a lot of fun to me. So that's another way to have a fabulous, fun meeting.
That's great, Milagro. From our Live Speaker Die Bureau. It's appreciated. One thing I've played, one thing we played around with in the Portsmouth Club too is using improv games. And I really like to play this in table topics as well. And I would actually, I think it would be more fun to demonstrate it than to explain it. So do I have somebody who's willing to make up a story for 60 seconds? It's something that's very graphic that I could, not graphic, but action filled that I could act out. All right.
Frozone, I didn't hear what you said. What do you call this?
Improv is one way to put it.
Okay, I didn't.
I referred when I did it. I also referred to it as there's a game in the old show Whose Line Is It Anyways, where one person tells a story and the other person has to act it out. So it's a form of improv. So the Music Man, if you have a story for us, I'll try and act it out.
Here's the story.
The end.
Albert,
hear
we
me?
can't hear you.
Music Man's frozen. Just give it one more shot, Music Man.
I think you need to tell him and he's acting
Can
it out.
you hear
Lucy's
me now?
outro.
Yeah.
Apparently my name is having an effect on the Music Man. Would
We have him hypnotized.
sorry, Albert. So would anybody else like to try and tell a story?
Oh my.
Ducky, was that a
So it could.
No, I can't think of anything right now. I'm trying.
So I love that show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I'm sure many of you have seen it or not, but it's so fun with Wayne Brady and some other of the comedians that we've seen over the years in various roles, but to come together and act out. So Sam, if you were to act out, I was on my way to the forum the other day and came across a puppy who was in the sidewalk looking for a new home. Oh, where can we go for that new home? And there was a person who walked by with a long ski cap on their head and said, "Oh, look, here's this puppy." And And then you would take it from there. So Sam, you would take it from here.
Yeah, and so that's one way to do it. So the continuous story. I was thinking more of acting it out. Improv though, and so to continue along Milagro's story, the puppy then somehow grew superpowers and started to fly and took the random strangers off into the distance to a faraway planet. In fact, that they had never seen before, didn't know it was actually a place that could be inhabited. And they lived happily ever after. The end.
Yes, then who wants to pick up from there? Nobody.
I think the group probably gets the point though. I think we
Yes.
illustrated it fairly well. Thanks for playing along, Milagro, and thanks everyone for listening in. Just a few other things to consider too, to really kick up your meetings is to drop some fun facts in during your meetings that go along with the theme. We had, as part of those joint meetings that I mentioned with Toastmasters of Manchester, we had Nita Patel, when she was Toastmaster, would often incorporate fun facts that she would sprinkle throughout the meeting that were always interesting. She probably had like 4 or 5 of them, one at the start of the meeting, one before the break, one towards the end, and one at the very end, that were related to whether it was a holiday and some historical facts, or whether it was just fun trivia. It was always very interesting to listen into those meetings for sure. And other ways to try and change things up too is throwing in quizzes along that same line, throwing in quizzes associated with the theme. So quizzing people, and especially with technology, you can get with Zoom, we can actually use the poll system to poll people and ask questions. And then at the end, maybe reveal how everyone did. Now I think I'm curious to know what other ideas you all have. So Roxanne, how about you? How about we say
we've done at our meeting? We're trying to mix it up with like table topics. Was taking pennies, and then the people would take the penny and they would have to read the year on it. Sometimes it required glasses, but anyway, you'd read the year on it and you would have to tell something that you recalled from that year. Make a story from your life that happened in that year. And if you weren't born, then you need to like if it was the disco era and you weren't born yet, then make something up about Studio 54, just have at it. So that was one thing. Another thing that we've done a few times is to take a grab bag and you put all sorts of different objects in the grab bag for table topics. And then the person has to grab an item out of the bag and then give their table topics on whatever it is they grab. And again, make up a story around it. Like one time someone had a hamburger maker in there, or a dog bowl in there, or I mean, just random things from around your house that you throw in a bag and then people have to give a table topics on it. It's a lot of fun.
That is a lot of fun. I've enjoyed that a lot too in our club, and you're spot on. It's so cool to just take, and you can even take a lunch size bag and put small things in, or you can take a bigger bag like a tote bag and put a satellite telephone in, or something from the 1950s in, and that is a really, really great fun thing to do.
And
And it's
also
also
like
possible
color,
to
something
have-
around a color too sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just going to add, in the virtual world too, the Toastmaster, the Table Topics Master, can have a bunch of random pictures as well to throw up on the screen.
Yeah.
That would be
for
fun.
those.
You can
Yeah.
have a collection of stamps and ask people to tell a story of their adventures in that country. That's one thing. The other thing is picture of houses, and include especially places which we would not necessarily call a house from another period in history, or from a Neanderthaler, for instance, or anything, a house. This is my house, and people have to tell a story about what happened in that house or with you or whatever. That can be very fun too. The only thing is that there are always a few people who are too shy or not used to saying silly things, and you have a hard time with it. Well, it's a way to ease up a little bit, I guess.
You're spot on with that. Yes, and that's the purpose of Toastmasters, right? Is how do we step in? How do we get our toes in that speaking pond, and having fun topics like houses or where we're from, or any number of things like Paul has behind him with the great big giant squirrel. I mean, we can build on that, and everybody's got those ideas in our heads. And to just simply step in and start talking is a really significant and influential thing to do. So I love that idea about the houses. That's great.
Milagro. I bring Phil here to the meeting because we're both in witness protection.
Yes.
I'm from New York. He's from Pennsylvania. We're all in New Hampshire now. But Frozone reminded me about being online, and so many of our clubs in the district are online. What I did with Phil here for a couple of meetings, when I was the counter, Phil would show up when someone said or He was making a lot of appearances that night. So what I've done, of course, I have a picture of a groundhog as a background in my video, in my Zoom account, and it's easy for me to change back and forth. I can find all sorts of things, right? So, or I can go back to where I was, but I also have the timing cards there, right? So, oh, Red, I guess I'm done speaking. Thank you for the time.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Albert,
So
although
just
your Zoom picture is freezing up a lot.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the Frozone. What Johnny Calamari was saying, I've seen this on a comedy show we have in Canada called This Hour is 22 Minutes. And the host, one of the leaders in the government, and then Justin Trudeau doing a speech. And every time he said or they had to take a drink. And of course, the host pretty much in water. So that's another way to do it, is every time you hear an or an and you know, it's instant feedback or drink back.
Everybody would be in the bathroom all night.
You would come to the meeting dehydrated if you were the counter.
That is great.
That's
What
a good
else?
one.
Who else has experienced different things in your meetings or other meetings you've been a part of?
We'll do a poetry night once in a while where some people will bring in their own poetry, and others you can read a poem that you like.
Very nice. Yeah, I think that's fabulous, Joe, in the sense that poetry You know, there are often groups around our towns or libraries that have poetry night, and to be able to bring that into Toastmasters is a fabulous thing. People write poetry a lot, and then to be able to share their own authorship is a fabulous thing, or their very favorite poems is so cool.
You know what, Milagro, if we're brainstorming here, the legacy training program had opportunities for reading poetry or performing parts of plays or giving oratorical speeches. So that would be pretty cool to have I shouldn't say this as a district officer, but a non-Pathways project meeting. But I think all of Albert, don't you tell anybody. But the poetry reading and 8 to 10 minutes of a play, you could fit that into a Pathways project. But that could be the theme for the meeting, and that would be really cool. I'd go to that meeting. Invite me.
That is fabulous, Paul. Thank you for picking up on that. And it takes me to what I was referencing earlier when we were talking about Cougar and the cemetery walk that we conduct biannually with my historical society, where we are representatives of residents in the cemetery, and we give 5 to 7 minute speeches about who we are and who we were and who and what we accomplished. And so that would be a great thing to remember those who are residences, and then bring to light that those actors as well. That's cool. Other ways. Has anybody conducted a great debate? Oh, not here. And I'll tell you, that's a fun thing too, because you can take a topic that's generic, not political, of course, or not as biased as you can, and be able to create a pros and con approach to impromptu speaking, and giving the pros, giving the cons, and then the rebuttal. And as we think about debate features and elements of a debate, we look at that there's a body, there's an opening, a body, and a closing to every part of a debate, the pros, the cons, as well as the rebuttals. And the rebuttals, of course, are a type of table topic or impromptu speaking. So those I have experienced are really fun things to do too.
Awesome, Milagro. Any other ideas that come to mind to kick things up in our meetings?
So.
Oh, the music.
Hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Major Tom? One thing I've done, and I think it threw everybody in my club off kilter, was I just took out my phone and I whipped out a dance tune before the meeting started, because we need a little bit of, we need to groove. One thing I did do was, in our meetings, we have what's called an inspirational or motivation statement. What I did one meeting, I didn't dare sing it, although I could have, though my daughter thought, oh, Dad, don't do it. So I didn't, but I could have. I quoted Natasha Bedingfield's song, Unwritten, which, does anybody know that song? Today, the rest is still unwritten. Oh, I did the lyrics. I read the lyrics. Live your life with arms wide open. Today, the book begins. The rest is still unwritten. Okay, well, maybe choose a song that more people know, but powerful medium. Obviously, I feel that way by my alter ego, but it really, music, even dance, movement, these are things people don't want to, or they're kind of shy away from incorporating, but some of the best speeches, well, maybe not the best, but I just think it's an underused medium. And honestly, this life is full of a lot of engaging and sometimes discouraging things. Getting some music in there, buttoning it up, makes a big difference. And so ends my song.
Shaking it up with some song. I like it, Music Man. And how appropriate from the Music Man that those suggestions be put forth. Ralph, I think I saw you were going to make a suggestion.
It was sort of not really to shake it up, but my past meeting, we had a new member, relatively new member, was Toastmaster for the first time. I found that was like a very fun, exciting thing just to watch, especially in the beginning. He's very nervous. At the end, he's like, wow, this was a lot easier than I thought it would be. And he's almost like ready to do it again. It was just a very inspirational and uplifting experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And a great way to, give them that experience and share that role as well with someone new.
Yeah, and that's awesome to watch our club members grow, you know, even within the hour meeting is so influential. And so the purpose, of course, of Toastmasters is to be able to build that confidence. So Joe, excellent example.
Any other examples?
No, but I want to keep talking about Ralph Joe's thing because it's interesting. Wouldn't it? How could we? I'm throwing this out there to the group. How could we schedule a meeting with an agenda where everyone is doing a role for the very first time? Okay. Are there any VPs in the club? I mean, can you arrange that? I mean, how would you do that? Because it's a great, I think it's a great idea, right? So everybody's a first timer in their role. I've never given an evaluation. Maybe you need a bigger club to do it, but a lot of the roles could be first time. And then take some time at the end of the meeting to give the newbies a positive and supportive evaluation of how they did. It would be a different kind of meeting, but isn't that what we're talking about? Shaking it up? What do you think? Is there a way to do that?
Serendipity.
I think that's a great idea. I'm the secretary at my club, and I'm at the same club as Fiona and Cougar, and we just had our club meeting last night. One of the things, and we have a theme every club, the Toastmaster gets to pick a theme. And I tried to actually rope in one of our new members to be the Toastmaster next meeting, and he said no. And I said, that's okay, no problem. And then about 5 minutes later, I said, well, how about being in the timer? So he did the timer. But to answer to your question, how could we do that? We have a lot of new members lately, which is wonderful. And I'm about to I got to finish the minutes and send them out. And when I send the minutes out to everyone, I could suggest that to see if we have so many new members who would like to sign up for a role now. I think it's possible.
No, serendipity, I think you're on the right track. If everyone at the meeting, or almost everyone, was doing a role for the first time, where's the fear in failure? Because everybody's gonna go, they're gonna screw up something, right? Or you're afraid of screwing it up. So now we have a new club of newbies, and we're trying to reinvent a Toastmasters meeting. because none of us have done this role before. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? That could be, so you find an experienced Toastmaster to wrangle the crew. And then find all new or newer people to fill all of the other roles. It's going to take a little bit of planning, but when you schedule that meeting, invite me because I want to be there. That's gonna be a lot of fun. But please,
I think what you do is, as everybody's walking in, you have a bag with the rolls in it. And the new people have to grab in there.
I like
and
that.
They do it,
Okay.
and they're blindsided. They don't even know they're gonna do it. They
Well-
just do it. But all the members that are seasoned, we will then have to always be practicing being evaluators. So then we become the evaluators for all of them to give them nice feedback of how they did on the roll.
Right.
And to give
So-
pointers and tips and things like that.
Fiona, do you give them a notice that because you've only been a Toastmaster for 3 months or 6 months, your role will be assigned when you come to the meeting? Or are you gonna really blindside them?
No, I think you got to blindside them because otherwise. people
Okay.
don't come. You know, like Bo, if Bo knew we were going to put him on the spot, he wouldn't come.
All
And
right,
last night, Sharon went up to this new member, Bo, and he told her no at first. And then she went back with a different role. She came over and was like, who should I do this? I said, give it to Bo, go back again. She's like, okay. You know, so he couldn't say no twice to her, but he was, you know, and he did great. The thing is he needs to be gently pushed. So like, if you just blindside him as they come in and he sees that it's happening to everybody, then
Yes.
you know, it will.
And
But if
and
they have
I-
an inkling, they probably won't show up for the meeting.
I think, okay, good point. I think that's the key to making it work, is there's more than one person who's going to be put on the spot. But during the
Yes.
course of the meeting, everyone's going to see that it's for educational purposes, and they're going to get some feedback, and everybody gets their money's worth. All right. Let me know.
I think, you know, you wait for our particular club, I'm saying. We've got some new people, maybe let them see how it works one more time and do this in May or June, you know,
Mhm.
so that they get to see these roles actively
Mhm.
played out. And then come May, let's
Right.
do it in May type thing, instead of the next meeting, April kind of thing. Let them see one more time how these roles are, get a little more comfortable with visually seeing it, and then you roll out to hit them in May.
Yeah, there you go. So you don't take a brand new member who hasn't even given an icebreaker yet, but
Right.
you find
Oh,
your-
right.
your victims who've been around for a couple of months and have seen things.
Yeah.
So
So they can't
roles-
say that they actually don't have a clue what they're watching. They're
Right.
supposed
Oh,
to do.
good. Okay, good point. I want to see one of these meetings. Let me know when you do that.
And what you do is you have a description of what their role is so that you can hand that to them. They can read it. So they have something that they can go up and then be following, you know, help them guide them type thing. Because they have all the roles that we can print out and what they are supposed to be doing and that sort of thing. But I like that idea.
Great.
Yep.
Sharon, did you have
Yep,
one last point to add?
absolutely.
Sharon, did you?
I was also just thinking about doing a speech for our new members, kind of like to review our, the whole process of the agenda and the pathways itself, because it can be overwhelming when you first start. And even as I've been in for several years, it's been hard for me to stay engaged in the pathways because of life's busyness. But I
Yeah.
think it would be a good idea to maybe incorporate that. That could be part of the theme, like welcome to our new members or something like that. I don't know. I was thinking about some things like that.
I think
You have a good idea. Toast to the Valley. Congratulations. You guys are stellar. I am just going to say that some clubs, Sharon, will take their new members and invite them to a separate meeting like this webinar tonight to do
Like a Q&A?
an introduction to the program.
Mhm.
Do a
You know,
demonstration, Paul, of like how you get on
Yeah.
base camp and all that stuff.
Exactly. I mean, it runs about an hour, and it's just like, this is what Toastmasters is all about. You know, this is the club, here's the area, the division. This
So a
is
separate
pathway.
meeting for
A
that?
separate meeting, yeah. I'm
Okay.
just suggesting, don't do it at a club meeting. But definitely take all of your new members, and you have multiples in your club, and bring them to a separate training.
Okay.
I'm
We
sorry,
had
I've now
4
taken
guests
you-
last night, Paul.
I've now taken our webmasters over time.
That's quite all right. Just to maybe wrap things up here, I appreciate all the comments that I hear. I think I'll ask Milagro to have the last word, but we've had some great discussion. And I think that for me, the thing about changing things up or spicing things up or kicking things up a notch in a meeting is making sure that we're keeping things interesting. And changing things up even for ourselves, not just for our fellow members, but kind of keeping everyone engaged and interested. I'm gonna actually share I was taking some diligent notes as everyone was contributing ideas, so I'm gonna post that in the chat right now. And who knows, maybe we'll create a blog post out of this as well to share. Milagro, do you have anything to share to close us out?
Thank you, Sam, and everyone. It was great to see you all this evening. Thank you for your ideas. Thank you for sharing your ideas. Thank you for listening to new ideas too, and absolutely love them. I know that in my club, Live, Speak, or Die, I'm taking back some of these ideas too. And even though we may be a well-seasoned club, we're always looking for ways to kick things up a notch. So I hope everyone has a great night tonight, and it was good to see you all. Thank you.
I am.
Thank you.
Thank you.